The era of the everyday low price, as we knew it, has quietly died in the Canadian market, replaced by something far more calculated, surgical, and urgent. While consumers were looking at inflation, Walmart was looking at a map. For decades, the retail giant dominated by sheer scale, but a sudden, massive shift in their Canadian pricing model suggests the old playbook is no longer enough to win. This isn't just about a change on a shelf tag, it is a fundamental admission that the global retail landscape has fractured. The world is reacting because if the king of discount retail is changing its DNA in one of the world's most stable economies, the economic signals are flashing red for everyone else. This event represents a pivot from broad spectrum dominance to high precision psychological pricing. It is the first major domino to fall in a new era of defensive retail, where the goal is no longer just growth, but survival against a backdrop of collapsing brand loyalty and rising logistics costs. We are witnessing a quiet revolution in how goods are valued, and it started with a single realization. The Canadian consumer is no longer responding to the old tricks. Behind this shift lies a sophisticated psychological feedback loop. Walmart's traditional model relied on the price drop dopamine hit, but in a high interest rate environment, that hit has lost its potency. People aren't just looking for deals, they are looking for stability. By moving toward a more dynamic, localized pricing structure in Canada, Walmart is effectively testing a new form of economic agnosticism, pricing that ignores national averages to target the specific micro fluctuations of regional wealth. It's a mechanism that mirrors the high-frequency trading of Wall Street, now applied to a gallon of milk in Ontario or a pack of batteries in Alberta. This matters to the average person because it signals the end of national price parity. Your neighbor in the next province might soon be living in a completely different economic reality than you, dictated by an algorithm you can't see. This move has escalated tensions with suppliers and competitors alike, as they struggle to decode a strategy that seems to change by the hour. But while the public focuses on the numbers on the screen, there is a much deeper, more invisible mechanism at play, one that involves the very way we perceive the value of our time and labor. It is a shift that suggests the average consumer no longer exists in the eyes of the world's largest retailer. The hidden mechanics of this shift are rooted in a transition from cost-plus pricing to value-based algorithmic modeling. In the past, Walmart Canada operated on a simple system: take the cost of the good, add a small margin, and move volume. Today, they have integrated a complex layer of geospatial data and predictive AI that anticipates supply chain bottlenecks before they happen. This is the psychology of the institution. Walmart is no longer behaving like a store, but like a data processing utility. They are leveraging Canada's unique geography, vast distances between thin population centers, as a laboratory for logistics-based pricing. The stakes are nothing less than the total control of the consumer's wallet share. If Walmart can predict exactly how much you are willing to pay based on the current price of fuel in your specific postal code, the traditional concept of a fair price evaporates. It is replaced by a maximum tolerable price. This institutional shift reveals a startling truth about our modern economy. Data is now more valuable than the inventory itself. By monitoring the real-time purchasing power of the Canadian middle class, Walmart has created a feedback loop that allows them to adjust margins with surgical precision. They are utilizing price discrimination techniques once reserved for airlines and hotels, bringing them to the essential grocery aisle. This is a policy-level move that bypasses traditional market competition by creating a frictionless shopping experience where the price is just low enough to prevent a search for alternatives, but high enough to offset the massive overhead of a deglobalizing world. This isn't just a strategy, it's a defensive perimeter. They are building a moat of data that their competitors, both physical and digital, cannot cross. It's a brilliant, if cold, application of behavioral systems. We are being trained to accept volatility as the new baseline. Every time the price of a staple good fluctuates by a few cents, it is a test of our collective breaking point. The system is learning our habits, our fears, and our limits in real time. But here's the part nobody expected. This isn't just happening because Walmart wants to, it's happening because they have no choice. The volatility of the global economy has made the old way of doing business a liability, and the reason lies in a secret vulnerability within the global supply chain that is currently being exploited by forces far larger than any single corporation. To understand the Canadian shift, we must look at the global context of the Great Inventory Correction. Across the world, from the hyper-competitive markets of Southeast Asia to the stagnant retail corridors of Western Europe, the old model of just-in-time delivery has been exposed as a massive liability. Historically, Walmart's power came from its ability to squeeze suppliers, but the power structure has shifted. Commodities are becoming harder to secure, and geopolitical instability has made the cost of certainty astronomical. Behavioral economics tells us that in times of scarcity, consumers become risk-averse rather than price-sensitive. Walmart Canada has decoded this. People will pay a premium for the guarantee that an item is actually on the shelf. This is a historic parallel to the stagflation era of the 1970s, where availability became the ultimate luxury. This insight into power structures reveals that Walmart is effectively decoupling itself from the traditional market price. In other countries, retail analysts are watching Canada as a canary in the coal mine. If this model of localized algorithmic pricing succeeds, it will be exported to the United States and the United Kingdom within 24 months. We are seeing the birth of algorithmic regionalism, where the global market is fragmented into thousands of tiny data-driven islands. The social psychology of this is profound. It erodes the collective bargaining power of the consumer. When we all pay different prices for the same goods based on our digital footprint and location, the community of consumption breaks down. We lose our shared reality and our point of reference for what things should cost. This is more serious than people realize because it changes the fundamental social contract between the merchant and the citizen. It is no longer about a fair exchange, it is about an optimized extraction. This shift represents a move away from the democratic nature of the open market toward a curated, personalized economic experience that favors the house. It gets deeper, however, when you realize that this pricing shift isn't the end goal. It is merely the foundation for a much larger, more permanent transformation of the physical world we live in. One where your physical location becomes the ultimate predictor of your economic destiny. The real-world impact of Walmart's new Canadian model extends far beyond the checkout counter. For families, it means the grocery budget is no longer a fixed number, but a moving target that requires constant monitoring and emotional labor. For workers, it means the pressure on efficiency is reaching a breaking point as the system demands perfection to maintain these razor-thin, algorithmically determined margins. The part the media isn't discussing is the retail desert effect. As Walmart optimizes its pricing for maximum efficiency, it inadvertently identifies which communities are unprofitable to serve. This isn't just about prices going up, it's about the quiet withdrawal of services from areas where the data doesn't align with the desired return. We are moving toward a tiered society where your access to essential goods is determined by the same algorithms that decide what ads you see on social media. This is a pattern interrupt for everything we thought we knew about the free market. We were told that technology would lead to more transparency and lower costs. Instead, it has led to a black box economy where the consumer is the variable, not the customer. Walmart's quiet move in Canada is a signal that the era of mass market stability is over. We are entering a period of economic fragmentation where the giant corporations are no longer trying to serve the masses, but are instead trying to manage the decline of the middle class with as much efficiency as possible. The shift you see at the store is the visible symptom of a much larger, invisible disease in the global trade system. It is a world where the price of a loaf of bread is tethered to the price of a shipping container in the Red Sea and the electricity costs of a data center in Virginia. While everyone is focused on the price of bread and eggs, the real transformation is already unfolding, quietly and in a place no one expects. It is happening in the data centers and the logistics hubs, where the very definition of ownership is being rewritten by the same systems that now dictate the price of your survival. Because while the world is focused on this retail pivot, the real shift is already happening somewhere else, in the way our very access to the necessities of life is being turned into a subscription to a system we never agreed to join. The implications of this shift are staggering when you consider the sheer volume of data being harvested with every transaction. Each purchase is no longer just a sale. It's a data point used to sharpen the algorithm against the next customer. This is a self-reinforcing cycle where the retailer's knowledge of the consumer's behavior becomes so complete that the concept of choice becomes an illusion. You are presented with a price that the system knows you will accept, based on your past behavior, your current location, and even the time of day. This is the ultimate expression of behavioral systems, a world where the market doesn't just respond to demand, but actively shapes it. In Canada, this is the new frontier. The vast, sparsely populated geography makes it the perfect testing ground for a system that relies on controlling the flow of goods over long distances. If it works there, it can work anywhere. And as other retailers scramble to catch up, the entire economic landscape begins to shift. We are seeing the end of the global village and the rise of the managed micro-market. This is a world where prices are no longer set by supply and demand in a traditional sense, but by the ability of a few massive entities to manipulate the perception of value. It is a quiet, bloodless coup of the retail sector, and most people haven't even noticed it's happened. They only notice that their grocery bill feels different, that the sales don't seem as good as they used to, and that the items they need are increasingly hard to find. They feel the friction, but they can't see the machine. And that is exactly how the system is designed to work. It is a masterpiece of economic engineering, a silent pivot that changes the rules of the game while the players are still trying to figure out the old ones. But the most unsettling part isn't the price change itself. It's what it tells us about the future of the global economy. It tells us that the giants are preparing for a world of permanent instability, a world where the old rules no longer apply, and the only goal is to hold on to as much power as possible while the ground shifts beneath our feet. This is the real story behind the change in Canada. It's not just about a store, it's about the future of how we live, how we work, and how we survive in an increasingly unpredictable world. And while the world is focused on this, the real transformation is already unfolding, quietly and in a place no one expects.